Recording. Boom. Recording. All right. Now let's start the streaming. It's going to be fun. It's always fun. There we go. All right. Good morning. Coming to you live from Axe Media Group headquarters here in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay. Woohoo! Glad to have everybody on board with us today. I really enjoy this.
Steve Schultz is watching.
Steve Schultz is already watching?
Yeah.
What's that? Some kind of sorcery there?
So sorcery.
Yeah. It's
Jeremiah Humans, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Welcome to the party. I'm waiting for the hook line before I turn the music down. Because I see for the first time all I'm meant to be. Here we go. Hear that, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, let's just hear a little bit of the chorus. A little bit of the chorus, just for fun.
We need to get Barney up here and he could do it live.
Yeah, we could.
We
Yeah.
need to do that
He's in South Carolina right now.
Oh,
Really?
really?
Yeah.
with his sister.
Yeah, he's helping his sister for 2 weeks. Love me with nails.
Is
Love
that
me
bad news?
No, that's not bad news. No, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
My name's Steve.
Glad to have everybody on board with us. Welcome to, I guess this is going to be a 2-hour special for the Morning Drive today.
Yeah.
Steve will not be doing his show after hours today.
Yeah.
So we're going to, I guess Jay and I are going to let you guys hang out with us for an extra hour.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's going to be fun.
Good morning, Linda.
But hey, it'd be nice to know if we can actually do 2 hours.
I know that we can.
Because, a lot of people, a lot of shows are like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
A lot of these talk radio shows in the morning and stuff, which I've almost got almost all the music, and it's almost all our shows on axradio.com now. So if you miss us and you don't want to log into Facebook, go to Axe Media Group or axradio.com and check out all the different episodes that we have on Axe Radio.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't listen to an individual one, and it's random.
Do you have the ones from the house on there?
Yeah. I've got ones from the house. I've got, a lot of those, the ones from the house were taken and were on the computer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That got
Morning, Kevin Saxton.
stolen. Mr. Saxon, welcome to the party. Boy, I'm looking at these old pictures of when we first came up here to the studio, when we made this up here, the studio.
Uh-huh.
It looks way different. We didn't have the black backdrop or anything. It's just all one huge room.
Yeah.
And the tables
When
were
we over
wider.
there, we were taking up
Yeah.
half of the room.
The tables were wider.
Now you just got a corner.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's better.
Yeah.
Continuous
Where are we
improvement.
at?
Kaizen. That's what the Japanese say. That's how they took over the automobile market. Did you know that?
We did what they at work. It was called Kaizen.
Yeah.
Be sure and share this, folks. Share this video with your friends.
What that meant was we would build in big batches.
Right.
So instead of just making one part, we will make a bunch of parts.
Now, the word means to continuously improve.
Right.
Excellence.
Yeah.
And so I guess that would mean the result you would get from doing something like that would be
Right.
that somebody would be very good at doing the one thing.
Yeah. We back a long time ago
Good morning, Scott.
at work, we had to take a class, and it was through the quality control.
Uh-huh.
And we watched a video, and I think I've mentioned it on the show before, that they took this part. It was actually a gear for transmission, Japanese car. And they measured this. Well, the gauges that they were using measuring it weren't moving. So they thought, well, maybe the gauge was bad. So they got another gauge and they checked it and it did the same thing. And the part was so perfect that the gauge couldn't read it.
Morning, Auntie Cheryl.
So,
Auntie Cheryl's on
yeah,
there, huh?
their tolerances for automobiles were 1/10 of what the American tolerances were.
Yeah.
So where an American's tolerance could be 2 1,000ths off,
yeah.
so theirs would be 1/10 of that,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
which would be what's 1/10 of that? God,
10 100,000ths?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Real quick, before
Nice.
we go any further, I want to go ahead and talk about a little Berberine HCI on naturalsolutionstore.bz. Berberine
Welcome
has-
home this afternoon, by the way, Scott.
has antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and immune-enhancing properties. It's effective against a wide range of bacteria, protozoa, and fungi. It can be used topically on cuts also and other wounds. It is perhaps most commonly used to treat gastrointestinal issues. Preliminary research suggests that berberine's beneficial effects may cascade into helping many different conditions, including depression, perhaps due to the increase of noradrenaline and serotonin. Cancer, berberine may help to suppress tumor growth and spread. Inflammatory infections, including antiviral effects against the flu. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD, by helping to reduce the fat buildup in your liver. It helps to lower cholesterol, supports blood sugar metabolism, and and it supports cardiovascular health. You can get your berberine HCI at www.naturalsolutionstore.bz.
Yeah.
Linda said no
Dot
Steve.
BZ. I almost forgot.
She
Linda
said
what?
No Steve. I'm here, Linda.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, you are zoomed pretty far out, far in still. Steve's kind of, his back is off the screen.
Well,
That I
it's not off the screen. He's wearing a black shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't see me. That's kind of like when you do a green screen.
It's Steve Arm and Floating Head.
And if you wear green, you can't
Jay.
see you.
What?
A whole bunch of likes and loves and.
And it's also Jeremiah's doing something.
Oh yeah, so you guys are having like a little. Hold on, I'm gonna
He's
do this.
winning for sure. He's way ahead.
What are we doing here? That's funny stuff.
Oh
man.
no, there's some crying.
Oh
Oops.
yeah, you do that whenever you just start tapping a whole bunch of them. It
Oh.
happens. It happens.
Ta-da. So anyway, welcome to the show.
So your trip went well.
You know it did. I think I'm a little depressed. A long time ago, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. So in other words, medically they considered it a condition of my brain, something that I would, that was in my brain. So I have a tendency for it when there's not really the right conditions for it. So in other words, I'd feel depressed when I had no real reason to. I could feel depressed even when everything was great.
Right.
So I think sometimes I do experience that still.
I've bookmarked a couple of things today. Now this is for the first half of the show. We're gonna do.
And to me, it feels like sadness and regret, you know. But
Yeah.
but I don't know why. It's weird.
Well,
You feel it in your stomach and in your chest.
and I've been feeling kind of funny lately too.
Yeah.
If it makes I don't know. It's weird. Like I said here lately, I'm getting at that age. I think I'm getting ready to start going through a midlife crisis or something.
You're going to start having hot
I
flashes?
sure hope not.
Well, because I I try not to think too much when I first wake up because that's whenever and I think it's somewhere.
I wake up thinking. I go to bed thinking. My mind is at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I think that's part of how my brain has responded. That's how my brain developed over time to be, to survive.
Yeah.
Overthinking puts you at a higher risk for mental breakdown. That's one of the bookmarks that I.
But sometimes you don't have an alternative. Like that's what I'm trying to find out in my research and in some things that I'm trying new. Is to maybe to develop some new ways, or to demonstrate with evidence that my feelings not matching real life. Does that make sense?
No.
In other words, I'm going out and being outgoing. I'm participating in these groups and
Okay.
seeing, meeting people and groups that some that particularly, at least from my bias perspective, are against my own beliefs. But what I'm finding out in joining those groups is that those are people too who are really trying to work things out in their life.
That's good,
And that it's important
Jeremiah.
to listen to other people and to learn their perspectives and find that there could be something good about it and there could be something you can learn about it, but also that I have something to offer. But also, but then to find out that my perspectives may be a little bit off, because they are.
Do you feel comfortable doing that? Or is it hard for you to do that?
I think it takes me to it takes so it's like this, okay? Joining one of these groups and meeting people in general, and it's odd because I'm a cashier, so it's very conundrumish. But so on my trip, I found this place that was a cliff.
Right.
All right, so it's a sheer cliff like this, a wall. Well, there's one rock that sticks out of it, and there's a tree on it, and the tree is kind of holding the rock to the cliff, and the tree's dead. Dead.
And you were hanging
You
on
didn't
it?
tell me it was dead. You just told me it was a tree.
No, he
The
said
tree
it.
is completely dead.
He said it on the program yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well,
Monday.
this rock is
No,
about this
yesterday.
thick, and half of it is off the cliff, and half of it is embedded into the cliff. But you can see that it's not really that it could fall, But
You
think-
could have fallen with
So
it.
I'm thinking, this tree's been here a while. Obviously, it's a decent-sized, full-grown dead tree, and it's still there. So I'm going out on that ledge. So I work my way around this tree, which there's not a lot of room, and call me a tree hugger. And I get out on this one rock, and so it's not a huge rock, and it's nothing to be too proud of. It's about this thick, this wide off the cliff, and about maybe this wide.
Uh-huh.
And it is completely out, suspended above, over a cliff.
How far was it to the bottom?
Well,
Just rough
the
guessing.
oak treetops were about 100 feet away,
Yeah.
so it's probably a 200-foot drop.
The fall wouldn't have killed you. It would have been that sudden stop.
Sudden stop at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's what hurts.
So obviously, all of those things you're saying were of course running through my mind.
Oh.
Is this safe? Can
Yeah.
Can I do this safely? No, it's questionable in safety. I could fall and die. So those anxieties and things, I had to overcome them. I had to say, okay, I'm going to be brave. So I'm getting out on there, and I'm not nervous. I've already stomped down the feeling of this is dangerous to say I'm going to do it.
Did you get pictures?
Yeah. It doesn't look as amazing as it was.
Well, I'm afraid of heights, so I went on back several years ago. My wife and daughter got me on that big tower down at Shepherd
Of the hills?
of the Hills.
Wow,
down there.
yeah. Yeah, I've
And
been up there.
I got up in it.
The Three
and-
Sisters?
Huh?
The Three Sisters, the mountains off in the distance?
Yeah. Anyway, in order to come
Tres
down and go
Hermanas.
down the elevator, you had to walk around the edge of this thing. And I'm afraid of heights. And I
Right.
like to never got around to that elevator.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
Because,
So all of those feelings you described about it and everything you guys said about it are the feelings that I have when it comes to meeting new people, and so I have to overcome them.
wow.
And so another thing that's very weird is, for me, that throws me off, is when I like somebody who seems normal, I would say, I get even more nervous, and then I can't really speak correctly. I say things that are just so I become creepy.
So you're not used to being around normal people? Is that what you're saying?
You become
No,
creepy.
I gravitate towards addicts and
Yeah.
violent people. That's I feel most comfortable. I don't have the anxieties that I do around kind and nice people who seem to be
Wow.
genuinely good and probably good for me to be around. They're the people that I get these feelings like the edge of the cliff,
Wow.
where I have to
Yeah.
overcome it. But then overcoming it, I'm not able to act normal.
Yeah.
Jeremiah asks, what actions are you taking to attract people to you?
Well, right now I'm going through. I'm going to a therapist who's challenged me to try new things, and that's what this meetup group thing that I'm doing is, and meeting up with groups of people that are different from me. I created a group of my own, a coffee group, because there were a lot of people who wanted to who wanted a coffee group, but didn't set one up, and then and that they one of the things that most people were interested in was coffee. So I said I'll start a coffee group.
So now what is a coffee group and where do you meet?
It's a group where we meet at a coffee shop and drink coffee.
And just sit down
And so
and
me,
talk?
for me, I set up a subject material, what it's going to be about. So like my last meetup that I set up was about trying new things, what we've been doing,
Are they
where we've been, what we've been doing, what we'd like to be, what we've been up to. The discussion was supposed to be what we've been up to, what we'd like to be up to, and something else. I don't know. I can't
well,
remember.
you need to say where you been and where you headed.
Well, only one person
Yeah.
showed up.
Oh, really?
Well, it turns out this guy, he walks in with a motorcycle helmet. So, of course, we had plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
And then there was, he's also an artist, a photographer.
So is this somebody that? So a gentleman showed up.
That I never knew.
Never met. He just
To
showed
meet
up.
up for this group that I set up.
Is it an online type
Uh-huh.
thing?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
called Meetup.
Oh, okay.
Now, this was a suggestion by my therapist.
Linda
Oh, okay.
Fleetwood says, "You act normal around me, so does that make me not normal?"
No,
Well-
actually, but no, actually, Linda, I noticed you, and you were involved in some of the same things that I was involved with for, I guess, years now. How long we've been involved in Freeway together? Quite a while.
Over 2 years now.
Yeah, so Linda, I mean, I noticed you there and everything, and wanted to meet you all along. And it was anxiety and fear that kept me from just going up and saying hi, and it's anxiety and fear that continues to keep me from being more involved and close to people who
Right.
would be good for me.
See,
Because I get to a point where I don't know what to do. You know, I don't know what a relationship and discussion is supposed to be like, and I become very intense.
See, I'm opposite of that. I'll go talk to a tree,
Right.
and I'll have a big discussion.
Even a dead one hanging over a
yeah,
cliff.
yeah. Well, no,
Right.
because it's on a cliff, and
Well-
I'm afraid of heights.
Right.
So-
But now, see, this is how I talk also.
yeah.
So it's a very intense, very, there's a lot in it. You know what I mean? It's very intense, and it's hard for people to soak up or to take for very long.
Right.
And I don't know how to calm down and let things be in a relaxed and flowing manner. I just don't experience people
You need to
in
drink
life that way.
Decaf.
Unless
coffee.
they're dangerous drug addicts, then I feel more comfortable and will gravitate. But because of my recovery, I avoid that. So I recognize this person is not a safe person for me to be around and would lead to something that I'm not willing to do anymore. And so I stop that. So I tend to be more isolated because of it.
Now, does your therapist recommend any groups that are already set up? Or
She recommended Meetup, just that there's a bunch of them. So
Oh,
she
okay.
said, and she recommended coffee because I told her I pretty much like coffee. My life is very, basic.
Basic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I bookmarked some things on this real quick. It's Psychology Facts. It's an app.
Right.
Love this thing. And the particular bookmark I wanted to,
And this is something interesting you mentioned we would talk about today. But I wanted to say, first of all, I noticed when I researched this stuff, I noticed that I had body language that didn't match what it says.
right?
And if it does, it's a deeper and maybe not as nefarious as some of the things that they say.
Right. Well, this said the smarter a person is, the faster he thinks, and the sloppier his handwriting is.
That's very true.
So have you ever seen my handwriting? It's terrible.
My handwriting naturally is very sloppy. I have to be very careful on, and
I have to slow down.
I do too. to be
I
sure.
print sloppy.
Do you? I print and write sloppy.
Yes.
You can't read.
Always
mine
go with the
unless I'm
choice that
careful.
scares you, because that is going to help you grow. That's good, right?
Maybe I need to go hang off a cliff. Will that make me grow 6 foot
Could
tall?
make you dead.
Could make you dead.
Well, yeah.
Here's one I like. Don't ruin today by worrying about yesterday's problem.
Exactly.
I like that. That's a
How
good
many
one.
people set back and they'll dwell on yesterday?
There are repercussions, though.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared for it.
Well, people are also likely to cry at night because the lack of sleep makes emotions hard to control.
Yeah.
Cuddling strengthens the frontal lobe of the human brain, the region of the brain responsible for how you react to emotional stress. Overthinking puts you to a higher risk of a mental breakdown. I think we can all agree with that one.
Say I didn't hear it.
Overthinking puts you at a higher risk for a mental breakdown.
Right.
Um,
I'm definitely an overthinker.
Here's one that's interesting. When people crossed arms during conversation, it helps them shut themselves off from other people. We often use this gesture whenever we are irritated by something. Crossed arms are a clear sign that a person is irritated by something. Crossed arms are a clear sign that a person is not feeling good about something.
See, to me, when you're talking to somebody and they're crossed their arms, to me it's almost a turn off. Like they could care less if they're talking to you or like they're not even listening to you.
I don't pay attention to those things.
Or-
I kind of just if I can talk to somebody, I will. It's just most of the time they actually will distance and proximity. They'll go somewhere else.
Here's something.
When they've
I don't
had
know
enough
if
of
I
me.
believe this 100%, but it'd be really cool if it does. Because, our skins, our cells reproduce, replace themselves.
Right.
The human body recreates itself every 6 months. Nearly every cell of hair, skin, and bone dies and another is directed to its former place. You are not who you were in January.
Very interesting.
It'd be December. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Let me go out of my bookmarks here. So what do you guys think of this so far? This stuff's pretty interesting. Body language. The way you dress tells a lot about your mood. That's true.
Yeah.
People tend to dress up more properly when in a cheerful mood. Yeah.
So if you're in a really, really, really good mood, you're supposed to be wearing a tux.
Wouldn't hurt.
Here says, when telling a lie, adding an embarrassing detail can make it more believable.
Like I need to know how to lie better.
Right. That's the last thing we need to do. Pretending not to care is the
Don't
habit of
lie.
someone who does care
No,
the
that's
most.
that's good. The Bible says not to bear false witness, and I think that any kind of a lie is a false witness
Right.
of reality.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
witnessing of something that's not true, and I think you shouldn't bear false witness.
Well,
So don't lie, and it's so damaging to your human.
Not just that, your
yourself.
testimony, everything.
We've talked about it on the show before, people, it's just a little white lie. No, in God's eyes, a lie is a lie.
Yeah.
No matter, there's not a such thing as a white lie or a lie is a lie.
Yeah. If you find yourself in a discussion where you feel you might be compelled to lie or that you don't want to reveal something that's private, you should probably withdraw from it.
Right. I agree with that.
You are more likely to be affected by the mood of other people you care about than strangers. No matter how angry you get, you always end up forgiving the people you love.
Yeah.
Cheerophobia is the fear of being too happy because something tragic will happen.
I've never heard of that.
I know, right?
How can you not be too happy?
The saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. It comes from those you trust the most.
Yeah, but how can an enemy betray you? I guess an enemy can betray you. If they're your enemy, they're not really your
I
friend.
think a government can betray you. They can
Yeah.
write into law things that betray us, betray our freedom, and I think that happens. So I'm not so sure I
I think
agree
it's
with that.
already happened myself.
think
Yeah,
it
but that's the
has.
Yeah.
government. This is talking on a personal level. Like,
Well, it's always somebody that you trust,
yeah, well, no one trusts the
that's
government.
close to you.
Yeah, no one trusts the government, that's for sure.
Right.
When rewards are unexpected, there are better chances of good performance the next time. That's true. Boredom has a bright side. Bored people are often looking for ways to do good things as the entertainment bores them and does not bring meaning to their lives.
Jeremiah said, "Set up straight." I am sitting up straight, Jeremiah. If I sloped down, you wouldn't be able to see
Oh,
me. I'd
there's
be
the-
under the table.
And that's true. Like if you walk with your shoulders back and your head up, it's almost impossible to feel depressed.
And by the way, no, Linda, that makes me very anxious. Though I don't show it. I've really learned to control it because anxiety, open anxiety, managed, is even much. You can't get along in life that way. I've tried it not on purpose, but I've been that way, and you end up being so reclusive because you can't manage your feelings.
Right. And being reclusive like that's not good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it will destroy you
Yeah.
eventually
Yeah.
Yeah.
over a period of time.
You need somebody to challenge your thoughts and challenge
Yeah.
the way the things that you're deducing from your experience. So you can have an experience and then your mind will just make a whole bunch of things from it that aren't really part of the reality. You assume so much.
Right.
Whereas somebody else to challenge some of that is helpful.
Speaking of reality, nitric oxide boost.
I always think of dragsters when you. I know it's a completely
Like
different thing.
NOS, you know,
Yeah.
nitrous oxide. Now this is nitric oxide boost. Product is an overall heart healthy supplement. It relaxes the blood vessels, improves circulation, and controls cholesterol and blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
You can find that at naturalsolutionstore.bz. Yeah. So there's that. I don't think that was 2 minutes, but
Ah.
there we go. So that is an app that I have on my phone, Psychology Facts, and it talks all kinds of stuff. It's really hard to get upvotes. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what upvotes are.
Oh, what?
Upvotes. It's a social media thing. They even have one on social media. Let me find it because it has some really interesting things on that as well. Social media. A recent study showed that the more selfies you share on social media, the less likable you become. Yeah. But
I've got some that are probably going to go up today.
and I don't think it's I don't know if that's a real thing. I think if someone puts a whole bunch of selfies up,
It depends, I guess.
you don't put very many selfies up.
No, hardly ever.
You have people that upload like 15 to 20, 30 a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's
And mine are people I met on my travels.
that's not just a selfie.
Good morning, Uncle Ray.
We've psychologically trained ourselves to become dependent upon positive reinforcements from online sources, which impact our mood and influence our behavior. But if we all put as much effort into our real-life interactions as we did our online ones, who knows? Maybe we'd find ourselves a whole lot better off.
I agree with that.
I agree with that, too.
Yeah. It really aggravates me to watch people get on basically Facebook, and I'm not running down Facebook, but they put all their garbage online, and
Psychologists examined internet trolls and found out that they are narcissistic, psychopathic, and sadistic.
Yeah.
That's true. That because they like,
To hurt people.
yeah.
They actually take pleasure. That's where they find happiness is in somebody else's pain.
New research has found that lonely people have superior social skills compared to people who aren't lonely.
Say this again?
yeah.
New research has found that lonely people have superior social skills compared to people who aren't lonely.
I wonder if it's because they crave it. I think loneliness is one of the most widespread feelings and problems that we have today, personally and socially.
Yeah.
As far as mental health, when it comes to mental health.
And loneliness can destroy you.
Yeah.
This is also something interesting. If partners text or use social media throughout the day to keep in touch, there might not be anything new to share once they're with each other. It's true. If you share a whole bunch of stuff via social media with your significant other, not a blind pug, by the way. You know, there'll be nothing to talk about by the time you guys see each other face to face. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because they already know everything. So sometimes I guess you just want to come home and just be quiet.
Yeah.
Despite your personal feelings about the app, it's hard to argue with the cultural impact it's had on millennials and online dating. Talking about the app in general. William Shatter can be so lonely. Many times people turn to social media for a break. They're looking to get away from what they are doing for a little while. Their expectation is a relaxing, entertaining, or recreational experience.
Don't you think, though, that people do that so they don't have to face reality? And, you know, they'll create something that's not really true instead of actually dealing with the thing that is true.
What did it say again?
Where are we at? Many times people turn to social media for a break. They are looking to get away from what they are doing for a little while. Their expectation is a relaxing, entertaining, or recreational experience after which they will feel good. Researchers are debating on adding internet addiction to the list of mental disorders. I would agree with that. I'm serious.
Well, I've seen people, not so much the internet, but gaming.
Martha Saxton.
People are addicted with video gaming.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hyphens there, Martha.
I don't see that.
Martha Nolene Saxton Young. It's a lot of hyphens. Anyways, yeah, we're just talking about different social media psychological facts. But yeah, you can get this app. It's free. It does have ads on it.
Because being around Jeremiah, to your comment, he says, I don't understand how William Shatner can be so lonely, which I don't know really where that comes from. He was Captain Kirk. How can someone rich and famous be so lonely? Well, I think that loneliness isn't cured by being around people.
Well, his wife in real life died.
Well, that will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if he stays in character of Captain Kirk 24/7, but
Yeah. Being by yourself and being lonely are not the same thing. You can be lonely in a crowd.
exactly, yeah.
But you can't be alone when you're in a crowd.
Right. The increase in social media use over the last 10 years is almost equal among females and males, but the negative effect on mental health seems to afflict females more than males.
Yeah.
Posting pictures or texting on social media while driving slows your reaction time by 38%, which is more than drinking or smoking pot. That's pretty dangerous. Texting while driving is very dangerous.
Well, I've seen police officers
Yeah.
texting and stuff.
They have whole computers and stuff.
Yeah, they're sitting there surfing the internet.
But I've seen them even doing it on their phone.
Yeah.
I saw a pic one time where there was an officer sitting there looking at a porn site on that computer.
Really?
Someone snapped a picture of it, and also they also snapped some. I saw an officer got in trouble because he was actually using the computer while driving, and a citizen stopped him and told him you shouldn't be doing that. Pulled him over.
But that's how they check license plates and all that stuff.
Yeah. But
Well,
you're
they've got
not supposed
radios for that.
And if you're doing that kind of work for the police department, there's a co-pilot. Like if that's actually your assignment,
Right.
there's a co-pilot who's supposed to be operating those systems while you're driving.
Yeah, that's why they've got radios.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're supposed to be parked when they're doing it.
Yeah, because it's dangerous. Texting, Facebooking while driving is horribly dangerous. I knew she's my ex-girlfriend from years and years ago. She totaled her car out because she was driving down through these little windy country roads, checking her Facebook.
Maybe
And-
there's a better time.
And she flipped the car, went into a ditch, flipped the car.
I find myself thinking some things are urgent when I'm driving. Like I get a text and I want to see what the text is,
Yeah.
and then I want to return the text, and that's so dangerous.
And-
but what is it about us that has made that so urgent? There was a time when you couldn't drive and use the phone because
No, you had to wait till you got to a payphone or a home phone or something.
and you didn't
Right.
know what was happening with anybody else until you saw them.
The cell phone is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Too.
But-
like it.
It has actually made life very dangerous. And we
I
can't
think they're
just,
wanting to make it worth too. Self-driving cars, so people can do that stuff.
They've already got autonomous
they've
cars.
come out with self-driving trucks. I'm talking diesel trucks.
Yeah.
And they were test driving one here just a few weeks ago on the highway. Of course, they had police officers in front of it and behind it just to see what it would do.
Isn't it-
I think there was a driver on the passenger side.
Yeah, there's going to be a driver to take the wheel. They're not going to fully automate them.
I don't trust that kind of technology until
No.
it can be consistently compared to a lifetime of driving. If the average person, say, is at fault and involved in 3 accidents in a lifetime, or the average probably 2 or even 1,
Right.
and then involved in how many that are not their fault, just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So until they can do lifespan studies on those, so in other words, use trucks for 60 years in a testing environment that shows their technology is either equal to or better than a human being, then I don't trust it, and I don't think they have that kind of testing to prove it.
They've even got diesel trains that are actually
Yeah, and don't they
Uprated.
really have to prove that they have the infrastructure? In other words, these things can be maintained and repaired and continue running and going and being on the road. Not even necessarily the same truck, but the same business providing the same amount of shipments, the same distances consistently with the same or fewer accidents as a human being.
Well, and self-driving trains are better than self-driving cars because they're
Yeah,
on track.
on a
True.
rail.
there's a intersection out on, I believe it's Golden Avenue. They've got signs posted, radio controlled trains, so it's your responsibility to pay attention to make sure there's not a train coming.
Yeah.
But yet it's not they've just got signs posted there, and I figured that goes all the way through Elwood out by where you live, Matt.
Yeah, you want to
It
be
does.
careful on those crossings.
Yeah.
Though I don't think the trains can cross there unless they're under a certain speed either.
Yeah.
Jeremiah says Knight Rider is now reality.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Now, I had a friend that was
Batman.
looking for cars, and
Batmobile.
Tesla has fully autonomous cars.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but they have had a lot of problem with Tesla. There's been at least 3 people killed, if not more.
Yeah. And didn't they have the didn't Google have a self-driving car at one point in time that ran somebody over?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. That is not for sure. That is not fact. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think I might have heard something like that, though. So I'm not talking bad about Google in any way, shape, or form. We live
The only way to solve those kinds of problems is to strictly enforce certain rules of the road and pedestrian rules.
Right.
In other words, you cannot cross that line. If you're riding your bike in a bike riding area and then you have that little lane, you cannot cross that line because an autonomous car
Right.
is going to take what space it needs.
Exactly.
And you can't cross that line. You'll be in the path of something that doesn't know what you are.
Yeah. Pretty interesting how how fast technology has grown in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And then now, look, I wonder what we're going to be like in another 10 years.
Exactly. I mean,
We're going to be riding around in a flying bus going to the nursing home.
well,
I remember when this was all...
they're using
Right.
drones to deliver body parts like transplants. They just did that here last week, I want to say, the first time ever.
Oh.
I think it was a liver. And
How about our spiritual walk? How do these things affect our spiritual life, and what are the pros and cons? Because there are definitely pros.
There
Yeah.
are definitely pros. We have scripture and all kinds of data right at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Well,
And people.
in today's time, you go to church now. You don't used to. You'd see somebody walk into the church with their Bible in their hand. They don't do that. They've got their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what if the battery dies?
Exactly. Thank goodness you don't lose everything on there. I mean, because you would be losing the Word of God.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing. Our
I think the paperback Bible is still the #1 seller.
Yeah.
it is Bible Gateway. I'm looking for BibleGateway.com. All right. So, BibleGateway.com. So, we're going to read some scripture today.
All right. Can't have too much word.
No, you can't. Word.
Yeah. Linda mentions the Jetsons, which I don't know. I think a lot of people don't even know what that means.
Meet George Jetson.
Oh, yeah. They had a robot and flying cars and all that stuff.
Yeah, he had a what do you call it? Like a treadmill outside his house.
Yeah.
That he would run on. He would walk the dog on. Walk Astro.
I think here in a 22, I believe, they're wanting to send the first woman to the moon. I heard that on the news here last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
So,
Which, what an amazing thing. I've heard a little bit about the story about, now, I guess it's a controversial subject. But look, birth control and tampons have really allowed women to participate in society in a way that has really benefited all of us. Because, let's face it, women's genius is just as valuable and good as men's.
oh, yeah.
So having them involved the way they are in our society has completely been to our benefit,
Yeah.
But imagine without those developments, no birth control, no tampons, and not without the improvements of sanitation, like our good, clean bathrooms that flush things away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine, if those developments hadn't occurred, where would we be right now? And women have contributed to the genius of humanity in our society just as much as men. And I think a lot of the progress we've made probably is a result of women. Look at the competition, too. If you're in a workplace, in any workplace, and there's a woman there, there's some competition going on. Sometimes it's to perform best, to perform better, to stand out.
I feel that the women in the workplace have been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Because
You think?
they're, oh, yeah. And you've got,
I've been listening to a guy named Jordan Peterson who says women haven't been in the workplace long enough for us to even understand as human beings how that is to be. We haven't even managed the real rules to working with women every day. We've been kind of winging it all along, and there's been great successes and great failures. But as a society, those rules aren't really set yet. We don't know what they should be and what they're gonna be ultimately.
how do you guys feel about the talking about the women in the workplace and everything, this sexual harassment type stuff
That
that's
has
going
changed a lot
on?
in my lifetime.
I can understand, I think maybe they're kind of going overboard. Some of them are on some of the stuff, if you was to just go, well, for example, I'll use my own self as an example. Last night, women that I worked with last night at the funeral home, I'd give them a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing meant by it,
Right.
Well,
I don't know. I think in my own experience, 35 years of working, a lot of those major strides that have brought women into an equal and maybe even an advantaged position in the workplace in a lot of ways have developed over those 35 years. I mean, back 35 years ago when I was working in this, when I started working, women were definitely sexualized and harassed, and that was the norm.
Yeah.
Whistling
was
at a
okay.
woman, making
Yeah.
inappropriate comments, that was common. Now, I was raised differently, and I had 3 sisters and a mother, and my aunts and grandmother were so very close to me and involved in my life
Right.
that kind of, I do feel it's disrespect, and I feel like it always has been.
I agree.
And I, even when I was 15, I felt like that was disrespectful and inappropriate. But it was very common. It was the norm as much. I would
Oh, yeah.
go as far as to say it was the norm, and it is not the norm now. You're
No.
liable to be reprimanded
Right.
for acting that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah." Did Steve say drones deliver? And yes.
Yes.
Speaking of drones, the U.S. is developing drones for for lost type missions. So in other words, they're building drones that will fighter drones and bomber drones